Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright, alright. Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright.
Hey, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. As you can see, I'm missing somebody today. Our whole team is going down because of COVID. And so today it's going to be just me. And mind you, he caught COVID today, Court. And so I'm going to be by myself today. Two, I got my booster shot yesterday, and I forgot about the 24-hour effect. Any of you guys who haven't had a booster shot, upon having a booster shot, there's a 24-hour period of where you have all the symptoms of having COVID, even though you don't have COVID. So bear with me. I'm going to see if we can do this. I think this is going to be similar to the famous Michael Jordan game where I'm feeling nauseated, but I think I'm going to try to pull this off. I got a lot planned. I originally wrote the class up for 2 people, so I'm going to have to take a lot of breaths and pause here and there so I can get through all this material. Tonight material is going to be fun. I tell you what, let's start here. It's okay if I take my time, right, y'all? Because I'm not going to move that fast. Okay, good. Couple things. In this current cultural climate, we're in a situation where a lot of people are starting to think through social media. And meaning that they go on social media and they absorb popular opinion, which eventually becomes their opinion. So what you find people doing is they're not thinking, they're defaulting their thinking to popularity. So if it's popular, it's facts. If it's not popular, it's not facts. And that's fine, I guess, for the average everyday person who wants to survive. But if you're trying to run a business, you're going to have to think closer to reality, not popular ideas. There's numerous popular ideas that are echoed all through our community that are gaining so much momentum. But if you brought those ideas into the business world, you're guaranteed failure. So tonight in class, I'm going to challenge a lot of those ideas. I'm going to kind of go through a quick tips process where I'm going to run through a whole bunch of quick tips in business. And we're just doing this a one-time thing. Next week, I think we're going to start with the book, Code of Extraordinary Minds. And so this week, I wanted to just kind of create a class that if somebody listens to this class just one time, this class would be impactful. Right? That was my goal, just to have impact with a fast touch. Doesn't mean it's going to change you, doesn't mean it's going to create success, but it definitely will have impact. And so tonight, which I rarely ever do a class like this, is I'm going to just run down a whole bunch of quick tips. Similar to if I was advising somebody who was new in business, a new entrepreneur. And they were like, hey, Nana, can you give me some advice about being an entrepreneur? And I had 2 hours to sit down with that person and just drop game on them. This is kind of the nature of this class where I'm going to drop a lot of game on you. Now, when I drop this game on you, some of it's going to seem extremely awkward. And why is it going to feel extremely awkward? Because they're not popular ideas. You have to know that popular ideas is not how you grow businesses. Matter of fact, most business ideas are very unpopular. And it's no fault. It's not a reflection of intelligence or ignorance. It has nothing to do with that. It's a different way of thinking. So as I move through this list really, really quick, do me a favor. I'm going to go through the list. I think it's 20, 29 things on this list I'm going to go through. If I say anything that resonates with you, write it down. And if you want to ask a question for me to dive deeper, because I'm not going to dive extremely deep, because throughout the year, we're going to revisit some of these subjects with greater depth. Because it's not enough just to know these ideas. You have to know how to apply these ideas and how to adjust these ideas based upon the variable of the challenge. And so it's important that you master these ideas. No idea I'm going to present to you tonight is a simple idea. Some of them may sound simple, but they have layers and layers and layers and layers of depth to them. And some of these ideas are actually connected to each other. I'm going to slam you with so many ideas. So take notes. And if something works for you, or something bothers you, or something disturbs you, something irritates you, something makes you go, I'm not sure about that. Something goes, or if you just say to yourself, hey, can you explain a little bit more about that one? When I finish this 29, Shakina's going to be monitoring YouTube. So if you have any things you want to feedback, go to our YouTube link, which is also posted on the Facebook page. Oh, it's not posted yet? Okay, so she'll post it. That was funny. It's not. So I'll post it. Anyway, but go to our YouTube page and place your questions. Or if you want me to elaborate even further into some of these ideas and principles. Next, if you still feel kind of uncomfortable after class, do me a favor. Please research it on your own. I would suggest anything that resonates with you, own it. The only way you're going to own it is you need to research it. You need to learn it backwards, forwards, when it works, when it doesn't work. There's no such idea that works all the time. They're all relative. So it's very, 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 very important that you research these ideas. But I'm going to challenge popular opinion. I'm going to challenge popular norms. And you're going to find, as you attempt to challenge me in your own head, if you decide to articulate those thoughts, you'll realize a lot of your challenges won't contain substance because you probably never really thought it out. You'll be surprised how many ideas and opinions we have that we just haven't had time to think out, but yet we defend. And so I'm going to tap into those. And I might even play around and get edgy. For example, an edgy idea would be gentrification doesn't exist. I know some of y'all going, what do you mean gentrification doesn't exist? Well, there's principles in the universe that says gentrification doesn't exist. Give you an example. There's, I think the principle is called entropy. Yeah, entropy. Entropy is this idea that things will always return to chaos. So if you're not always working on it, it will return to chaos. For example, your home. If you're not always working on your home, it will deteriorate and go back to chaos, right? If you're in a relationship, if you're not always working on your relationship, it will turn to chaos. So there's things in the universe and society and life you have to always be working on, right? So gentrification implies that we own that space and somebody's invading our space. But there's also a law of natural selection that says that if you're not growing, you will die. If you're not growing, you will die. And so if you're not actively keeping a certain area alive, it is dying to your ownership for others to take over. And so what gentrification should suggest to us is the lack of active engagement or active ownership, right? That's kind of like these kind of ideas. So we're going to jump into a whole bunch of stuff that I'm going to also translate into why is this important to understand, not because I'm trying to make a cultural or moral argument, but why this is important to think about when you're running a business. Business has the same rules. I don't care how long you've been in business, how strong your business is, it doesn't mean that you deserve to be here. If you're not constantly working on growing your business and expanding your business, I can promise you your business will ultimately deteriorate. So now, before I get into these quick principles, I'm going to introduce one idea that's going to kind of be the underlining idea of all these principles. In business, culture, relationships, society, life, a lot of times we use this language called, we play games, Life is about games. But many of us don't realize that there's two type of games. Um, there is, um, okay. A lot of people don't realize there's two type of games. There's finite games and infinite games. Finite games are what you see in sports, like beginning, middle, and end, referees, winners and losers. Infinite game, and there's rules. In finite games, there's rules. You break this rule, this is how the next rule runs, right? But in infinite games, there's no ending, there's no referee, the rules can change, and you never win. Business is an infinite game, but yet we think about it in a finite way, meaning that we think about it as if we're trying to get to a destination, often limited to our imagination. Not realizing that once you go into business, if you play an infinite game with finite, with a finite mindset, you will automatically deteriorate the game. So if you're in business, you're not thinking about business as something that's infinite, that's always changing, and you never win. You will engage in activities and practices that will eventually cause your own destruction. I'm keeping it simple for now because we will be able to go back into that further. And if you ask questions, I'll revisit that. So with that being said, let's jump into some of these slides. So the first slide, code switching. So last week, court said, do not code switch. And at the time, I was smiling and I was caught up in a moment, but I thought I should revisit the phrase code switching because it's a very hot topic, especially in the black community, right? This class is focused primarily on black folks. And, but I can almost promise you all races do a form of code switching. A lot of times code switching arises when you work in a toxic work environment. I'm not going to get into details right now. We will get further into that. But when you have an environment where you don't feel safe and you don't feel like you can trust people, quite often people will put on fake personas just to get through their day, right? But for black folks, it goes a little bit further because you mix it with not feeling like we're good enough, and quite often we will imitate the group that represents power. But what we don't realize is that code switching automatically, before you start to play the game, suggests that your rival is greater than you. Once again, when you code switch, you automatically suggest to the person that you're engaging with that they are greater than you. What's critical is do not change your accent, change your posture, change the rhythm of your voice. Expand your vocabulary. Let me say this again. You don't change who you are, but what you should do in any business environment is expand your vocabulary and expand your knowledge. Do not code switch to backfill your lack of self-investment. And if you're always investing in yourself, you're always reading, you're always growing, then when you sit at the table, you can speak with your natural rhythm and have plenty to offer, right? Also, when you show up as yourself, if the person who's judging you sees black folks or black culture as inferior, and then when you open your mouth, you present ideas greater than their level of thought, it creates such a contrast in their mind, it actually puts you at an advantage. So not code switching is not a matter of morality or being true to your blackness. Staying yourself empowers you and gives you an advantage in negotiations. But not when sometimes we tie code switching into language, choice of words, ebonics, whatever you want to call it, right? That's not what code switching is. If you develop your vocabulary, but you still sound like, say, Dr. Dre, right? Or you sound like Snoop Dogg, but you have a huge vocabulary and you have deep knowledge of the field that you're in, you will earn all the respect and be highly admired and be valued for who you are. But if you code switch, because at the end of the day, you are relying upon natural talent or you're falling forward. That's a famous success idea that I received a promotion not because I'm talented, it's because somebody put me in this position, but I didn't really earn that position. If you're relying upon code switching to compensate for your lack of self-investment, then work on your self-investment. Because at the end of the day, you're trapping yourself into an experience. Especially when you come out here as an entrepreneur, everyone can read right through you. So learn to be yourself, whoever that. If you happen to be a black person that grew up in Utah and all you grew up around was white people, stay yourself. If you're a black person that grew up in East Oakland, stay yourself. But not having a broad vocabulary and not having focused knowledge in your field is never acceptable or is an excuse. So when we said do not code switch does not mean you still rely upon natural talent, don't develop yourself, and go in there and start using slang. It's okay to use slang. For example, Maya Angelou was a queen of that. She had a huge vocabulary, but every once in a while she would use slang to bring her point forward from her cultural experience. Excellent. That always works. But if you're using slang to compensate for not making that investment, that's when it's a breakdown. So that's how you create that separation. It's important because, telling a child to code switch is telling a child that somebody's culture is more valuable than yours. But if you tell that child to grow their vocabulary, then you ask him to rise to the highest level of their own culture. So do not code switch. Next one. Y'all ready? This is a powerful theory here. Rental versus ownership theory. So rental theory is, you guys ever rent a car before? And when you rent a car, you just don't give a shit about it, right? You put the cheapest gas at the cheapest gas station. You run into the raggedy car wash. You do whatever the minimum you have to do just to use the car and then drop it back off. Now, but if you own that same vehicle, all of a sudden the details would change, right? Because now you're going from, this is an example of finite versus infinite. Finite is, I own this car, I play this game, I give it back. Infinite is, I'm owning this car, I'm not sure how long I want to own it, so I want to take care of it, right? Going from having a job to becoming an entrepreneur is shifting from rental to ownership. It's going from this idea of, so for example, let's say you have a rental mindset. If you have a rental mindset, you'll go to work every day, you'll you'll walk through your neighborhood with trash on the ground, you'll get in your car, you jump on the BART train, you'll say, that's not my business, and you go to work, and you won't really pay attention too much around you. You just observe what little things you observe, but you don't really engage your surroundings, and you don't pay critical attention to your surroundings. And so, quite often, when things happen in society, you kind of remove your cultural responsibility because you're kind of renting society. So, for example, when white people say that we're minorities, or you hear these ideas of second-class citizens, they're suggesting to you that you're just renting. And so, if you buy into this idea that you're renting, you lose control of your own environment, as well as you do this thing what they call it's called ethical fading. Ethical fading is when you start to lose ethical position, but in your mind you're rationalizing it as not losing ethical position. I'll give you an example. Remember back in hip hop when Cash used to say, this is early days of hip hop. He used to say, "Hey man, look at how you're showing up in your hip hop music." And the guys would be like, "Well, look how Arnold Schwarzenegger and other people are showing up." As they blamed the system, what they were doing was justifying to themselves, ethically justifying their behavior, and removing themselves from causation and responsibility to their environment so they can go home and sleep at night, right? But ultimately, or somebody says, "I'm only out here selling dope because I have to feed my family." You're just saying that to ease the pain and pressure. Quiet as it's kept, society, corporate America does this to you all the time. Corporate America say to you that, it'll say something like convenience fee. A convenience fee is really a surcharge. I just changed the language of it to make everybody feel better about it, right? So in a culture of rental versus ownership, if you understand ownership, you're going to see society, your neighborhood, culture, people, everything totally different. You're going to see your connection to everything. You're going to understand the long-term play and understand the value of long-term play over short-term play. But if you're into rental, you're into right now, short-term play, no ownership, justification, and blaming systems. And so you're going to learn that entrepreneurs are a little bit more detail-focused. They care about smaller things. Where, like, for example, when you own a car, You care about what kind of soap you use on your paint job. You care about what type of tires you put on your vehicle. You care about what kind of gas. Because what you understand is accumulation of poor decisions causes expensive impact down the road. Brushing your teeth. If you brush your teeth right now, it has no impact. But in order for you to have healthy teeth, it's about brush your teeth consistently, right? But when you're renting something, you may choose to use poor toothpaste, raggedy toothbrush. You may decide to brush your teeth every once in a while. Or let's use it to work out, right? If you go to the gym right now, you train really, really hard, you go home, look at the mirror, there's no change. You go home, look at the mirror again, there's no change. But gradually over a long period of time, there's impact upon you, right? And through those small investments over a long period of time, you have these long-term benefits. That's ownership mindset. A rental mindset is, if I can't get it right now, I'm moving on to the next thing. I don't have time to just even focus on details. All right, it's almost, and even your learning behavior, ownership versus rental. Rental mindset is when you're learning things, you're looking for moments that excite you. So if I say something like, oh, that's deep. That's power. That was powerful. Now that what you just said. That's a rental mindset. Ownership mindset is what small things that I need to learn to maintain and protect my ownership. And those things may not be exciting. If I told you every day, go to the gym and do 20 pull-ups, 13 push-ups, and 40 curls. Well, the first day you do it, it's not exciting. There's nothing pleasure about that. The excitement comes from the long-term commitment to the idea or principle. So ownership is a whole different form of engagement. And so most people who have jobs, you're ignoring things are serious. You don't want to deal with complexity. You don't want to engage. That's because you have a rental mindset. So when you start looking at your community from ownership, your house is ownership, your life is ownership, your business is ownership, it changes everything. Even when you're hanging out with somebody's kids, it's cool when you hang out with kids, it's easy. But when they become your own, it's a whole different conversation because you care more about what's happening. So your depth of caring changes when you move from having a job to actually owning a business. Totally different. So if you own a business, if you have a job and crime in the city crime increases, you go, well, shit, I'm going to work tomorrow. I just got to be safe about going there. Maybe leave a little earlier. But if you own a business, you realize that crime, it prevents the customer from engaging in your business that can hurt your bottom line. So you have an interest in reducing crime. So your level of what you care about, what you pay attention to, how you engage society, your relationships with society totally changes. So ownership versus rental. Rental versus ownership is an important theory we're going to teach more about later on, but this is a fast review of that principle. These are ideas that you have to embrace if you're moving towards being an entrepreneur. So defense. In this class, I'm going to say some things that's going to disturb you. Your default response, more than likely, for most people, especially black folks, is defense. You will instantly go into a position of, I must defend my position. Some of you guys only want to hear information that complements what you already know. You're not willing to take on anything that makes you uncomfortable. But let me explain something to you. What you know and what you're comfortable with is providing you the life you already have. If you want a different life, you're going to have to play offense. You can't stay in a defensive mode. Defensive mode has its place, but quite often we're too defensive. Have you guys ever attended an event where black folks are sitting around discussing what's wrong with society? Everybody is extremely articulate when we're in a defensive mode. But once we shift into offensive mode, our brain literally feels as if we went back to elementary. It is critical that you start practicing offensive thinking because when you run a business, you have to understand offensive thinking. It's at the core of what you're doing. So arguing with people, defending your position, preventing people from challenging your ideas, all these principles are destructive to running a business. And it's critical to realize that a lot of times your life is solidified by your emotions. Let me say this again. Your life it's solidified by your emotions. Let's say I say something in these tips that make you irritate you. Your emotions will help you stay where you are. You have to learn to fight your emotions to go to where you want to go to. If you decide you want to change or grow, don't think that your brain is going to permit that process. Your brain is designed to protect you. It's not designed to help you grow. And so ultimately, as you learn things that offend you or irritate you, or I heard that before, whatever, he ain't saying nothing new. All those defensive responses are designed to keep your life exactly where it is. If you don't learn to penetrate your defensive responses and your defensive emotions, 20 years from now, you'll be in the exact same position, if not worse. Next one. Oh boy. I'm going to quickly touch this one because we don't have enough time in this class. Radical responsibility. Radical responsibility suggests this. Everything that happens to you, even if it's not your fault, it's your responsibility.
Amen,
Let me say
brother.
this again. If you're going to run a business, this is a core principle you have to learn, because as you grow, this will destroy you. Everything that happens to you, although it's not your fault, is your responsibility. Let me give you a simple example. If a big guy walks up to you and knocks you down, it is not his responsibility to help you get back up. It is not his responsibility to train you in martial arts so he can never knock you down again. If you want to prevent that from happening in the future, you have to take responsibility by getting back up, training yourself, and protecting yourself, and in some cases, defending yourself. Everything in life, it does not have to be your fault. Matter of fact, if you blame other people or you take yourself out of causation, you naturally cause your own personal ignorance. If something happens to you, you should always say, what could I have done differently to avoid? Now, we're not talking about a 3-year-old girl, or 4-year-old girl, 5-year-old girl being molested by some adult. That's not what we're suggesting. And for some of you guys, I hate the word trigger, but I don't want to trigger that trauma, because that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm saying moving forward as an adult, the worst thing in the world is to have a company that doesn't take radical responsibility. Imagine a problem happens and everybody in the company starts blaming somebody else. That means you're never going to change. In 510 Media, I teach everybody to accept radical responsibility. In my house, I told my son-in-law, you may have a bad teacher, but if you come home with a bad grade, that's still your responsibility. Because in life, you can't always have good people in your life. So you have to master the art of dealing with people of diverse backgrounds and different beliefs and still achieve success. So you're still responsible for the outcome. Once we start practicing the art of blaming, and I take you out of the causation loop, what I'm teaching you is an inferior way of thinking. Once again, I'm moving fast, so stick with me. That also means you can't blame racism. You can't blame racism. You cannot blame racism. Let me give y'all something. Let me share something with y'all. This is extremely important. And write this down. You have to stop seeing your opposition as you versus them and see them as worthy rivals. You have to learn to see your enemy, your so-called enemy, as a worthy rival. Once you embrace that mindset shift, white people will actually make you better, greater, and stronger. You guys get that? So you gotta move everybody in your life that you see as opposition. This is why I can't say social justice. Social justice is causing so much damage. You have to learn to see somebody as a healthy rival. It's not saying, okay, let me be very clear. I'm very, very progressive black. But the goal here is to build, not to sit in my house mad and destroy myself. And if I'm going to build a better world, because I'm playing the infinite game, not the finite game, you have to start to see that any form of opposition, whether it's white people, a competing company, is a worthy rival. The CEO of Ford was asked a question. He was asked this simple question. He said, "What is the best car you ever drove?" And he said, "A Lexus." Now that's almost sinful in the car world. And people are like, "What? You just CEO of Ford. Why would you say a Lexus is the best car you ever drove?" He's like, "It is." And what he was suggesting, and what he eventually was, he came back and explained was, I believe in celebrating the best because by seeing the best, it gives us a focus point of where we want to go to become better. And so by me seeing what the competition is creating, that lets me know how far we are removed from where we need to be. And so by me celebrating my competition, it makes me greater. Doesn't mean that you remove them from competition. Doesn't mean that you don't take on the challenge. But you also realize that you don't have to win every fucking battle. Because sometimes you overspend, commit to a point of self-destruction of your business because you're too busy over-focused on your enemy. It is critical that you stop seeing white folks or whatever, straight folks, gay folks, whatever folks you think that's impeding your growth, which is an illusion, by the way. Stop seeing even somebody's in the same industry as you. So let's say you're into a clothing industry and somebody else is in the clothing industry and they're killing it in Oakland or in the city that you're in. You have to stop seeing them as an enemy, you versus them, and see them as a healthy, worthy rival. This is critical if you want to play business games. If you want to play that small poverty game, get into like, I don't like them because of this, the other. By the way, stop gossiping. Matter of fact, most of the time when you gossip, the person you're gossiping about the most is a person you're probably most similar to anyway. So stop gossiping. It removes your personal awareness. Next one. All people are good. Matter of fact, that falls perfectly into the stop gossiping. All people are good. Let me say this again. All people are good. Now, do people have foul behavior? Yes. Do people do things that are unacceptable? Yes. Do people committed crimes that are just disgusting? Yes. But most of the time, those people who committed those ideas thought they were coming from a good space. A lot of times when you're judging people, you're forgetting the different environments and different lives and different realities that exist around you. There's millions of different realities that exist in this country where people have different ways of thinking, seeing the world, had different childhood experiences, different poverty backgrounds, different abuses. And so when you judge them versus good versus bad, you're dismissing them and you don't see them. But if you start from this idea that all people are good, it'll help you learn to see people better. If you learn to see people better, when you decide to grow your business and push your product nationally, you'll be able to see the variations of markets you're tapping into. 2, when you see people are bad, it makes your world dirty and ugly. So if you walk around thinking everybody's negative, you start feeling negative. You start feeling like this world sucks. Like it's almost coming to an end. It's just the worst life you could ever live. It almost colors your life in an ugly color. If you want your life to be beautiful as it should be, you have to start by how you judge others. All people are good. Doesn't mean you let everybody in your house. Don't mean you trust everyone. Doesn't mean, that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm not saying that you go down an alleyway and be like, hey, I think everybody's good. Here's a flower. That's not what I'm suggesting. This is not no goddamn hippie class. What I am suggesting is that at the core of your thought, don't start off with this idea that people are negative and bad and there's just bad people here and there's good people here. All people are good, but if you don't understand their complex history, their background, their culture, what previously happened to them, you don't understand the context of their life, you cannot see them. So start with the principle, if you want to be good in business, all people are good. Because when you open your doors, you don't get to choose your customers. All kind of customers will come to your door. And if you have this negative undertone that some people suck and some people are great, it's going to translate to your business, it's going to translate to your employees, and it's going to undermine your growth. Perspective. Now, I probably talked about this in class. Perspective. There's a famous phrase. I'll tell you what, okay, first let me explain what perspective is. Perspective is this. You can have numerous people looking at the same situation with different angles and all see a different truth, even though those truths could be absolute contradiction. So, for example, I used the boat analogy, I think, last week, where somebody's at the bottom of a boat bouncing a ball. The boat is going relatively 60 miles an hour. He's bouncing a ball. To him, the ball is just coming up and down. All he sees is He just all he sees is the vertical, right? He doesn't see the horizontal at all. And so, but if there's somebody who had X-ray vision, they would see the balls actually moving up and down, but also in a horizontal way, right? Because the ball is moving at the speed of velocity of the boat. The person on the top would see the boat as just cruising at a mellow speed. The person on the shore would think the boat is moving really, really slow. And the boat that's in the direct path of the boat is thinking, my God, that big ship is moving hella fast towards us. All of them have different opinions about the same true fact, but going to see it different from different perspectives. We have to understand that your truth, or whatever truth you believe in, is not everybody's truth. The truth you believe in is not everybody's truth, because everybody has a different perspective on life. And so when you're managing groups of people, it's critical that you inquire other people's truths to be effective managing other people. Second thing, it's this old saying, if you want to hide something from black people, put it in a book. Actually, nah, it's worse than that. Way worse than that. So I was going to come in class today, if Court was here, I was going to tap my finger like this and go, who knows that song? Huh? No? What do you think that song was? Huh? No, it's not Cisco Thong song. Don't ever give your opinion in public. What do you want? This cat said Cisco Thong song. Now, here's the funny part. Watch this. Watch this. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Okay. Why? Now that I do this, if I go like this now. So now if I do this. Now your brain can actually tie it contextually to the point, right? A white person can be right in front of you sharing an idea of business, and if you don't possess the context of their discussion, you cannot hear what they're actually saying. Meaning that they don't need to hide it in a book. They can see it right in front of you. If you don't have the same context as they have, all you hear is tap, 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 tap. And you say, hey, Nana. I say, hey, Mike and Bobby was just having a conversation. What did they talk about? Oh, they were just tapping. They were just tapping. But because they understand a deeper context, meaning that entrepreneurs see life from a rich entrepreneur or a healthy entrepreneur sees life from a different context. They can share their ideas with you. And even though you're hearing the ideas, you don't have the context to unravel the idea. They can say simpler words. Like, for example, perspectives are critical. And you'll be like, yeah, perspectives are critical. But if you don't understand perspective as a mental model, the complexity of it and how it works, you lose the value of what just been said in front of you. So they don't need to hide it in a fucking book. They can say it in front of you every day, but if you don't know the principles, you won't even hear the words. You won't even know what they're saying. So, for example, I saw the show Succession, and I watched some people talk about Succession. It's a show on HBO about a billionaire father who's trying to pass his money down to his children. And as I'm listening to people talk about it, they don't realize they're actually quoting solid business theory in the show mixed with their children who are trying to use everyday popular theory. That's what makes the show actually work, is you got popular theory against business theory, and it seems like this funny, comical contrast when actually that's reality for most entrepreneurs. Popular ideas are not good ideas. They're just not good ideas. But when we speak on certain ideas, most people can't hear the power of the things he's saying in that show because they don't have the context. So he says these simple sentences are very, 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 very powerful in business. But if you're not in business or understand business, you just totally miss the context of what he just said. What I'm trying to suggest to you is that business principles and higher thinking and cultural building principles are spoken around you all the time. You just don't have the context to learn it. To hear it. You have to actually learn the context to find value. So you can go sit down with a great business person. Let's say you got a chance to sit down with Warren Buffett. It's a waste of time. You have no context. So you're over there trying to force his interpretation into your interpretation, which waters it down so much it has no more value. Okay, next one. The basics. In business, it's like training as an athlete. There are basics. Why is there basics? You burn more calories from thinking than exercising. You burn more calories from stress and thinking than exercising. You burn more calories from problem solving. You burn more calories from responding to your fears and discomforts. You burn more calories from creating bravery to show up to your discomforts. If you don't sleep, eat, exercise, create peace of mind, you are literally starving the muscle you need to use to achieve success. Let me say this again. Entrepreneurs do not play with these areas. Because when you start playing with these areas, you almost go into a delusional space and make worse decisions unaware to yourself. You're not even aware that you're making worse decisions. Have you ever been around somebody and they're starving and they just start snapping on you and they're going off, they're hangry? When you don't get enough sleep and you don't eat properly and you don't exercise, you will literally make horrible decisions. Now, why is peace of mind part of this list? Peace of mind is that, let's say you live in a neighborhood where it's just popping off all night long. Fireworks, they're doing sideshows, guns are going off. Your brain is using so much resources in a space of fear. So what your brain does is, unconsciously, your brain is responding to the hostility of its surroundings, even though consciously you might be like, I'm used to it. No, your brain isn't. It spends so much of your resources in its unconscious response to its surroundings. When it's faced with a problem, you have nothing left to solve the problem. So you default to comfortable responses because you don't have time or energy to think, right? So you have to protect your mental resources to make different decisions to produce different outcomes. If you don't do that, it's not possible. Now, reflection and simulation is the basics. Why is that basics? When you read and you learn new things, say, for example, this class, if you don't reflect, I don't give a fuck if it's sounding great to you. If you do not reflect, it doesn't penetrate. You can read 1,000 books and you'll be like, oh, that was deep, that was powerful. But if you don't reflect, it doesn't impact your life. Then after you reflect, and stage 2 is you have to simulate, meaning that you have to say, okay, if I was in this situation here and I make this decision here, how would I use this new tool? And if you can't create a mental simulation of the new information you created, once again, it hasn't saturated. So reflection, simulation, and then last act, right? Which that's kind of a given. These are the basics of being an entrepreneur. This is something you have to maintain all the time. Not work out one weekend, not eat good one night, not sleep properly one week. You have to maintain this consistently. No different if you saw somebody who's training for the Olympics. They take their regimens very, very serious. If you met somebody who's in professional sports, they take their regimens very, very serious, right? Matter of fact, if you go back to, let's look at basketball, for example. If you go back to basketball before Michael Jordan, basketball players smoked cigarettes, ate bad food, did all of the above. And look at the quality of the athletes. Pay attention to point guard back then and point guard today. Point guard back then, they didn't dunk. They did layups and they passed the ball. They did little short jump shots. Now you got people like point guards like John Morant jumping up halfway on the backboard, grabbing a ball off the backboard. Why? They have regiments and practices and exercises, because as the industry grows, the competition level grows, and in order for you to compete in this game, you have to grow. So if you don't take your basics very, very serious, you'd self-defeat yourself. You can have all the best intent. You can be capable of being the best in the game, but if you don't maintain the basics, you will undermine your own investment. Next slide. This is one of my favorites. Observation knowledge is the weakest form of knowledge. And it says, let me read this caption on the bottom. It says, what is truth to one may be a disaster to another. I do not see life through your eyes, nor yours mine. If I were to attempt to give you specific advice, it would be too much like the blind leading the blind. What are they saying here? They're saying, if I'm observing you and I'm going, hey, I'm watching Shakina and she's running her business. So I'm going to start a business similar to hers, and I saw what Shakina did. So because I watched her, I know I think I can run my own business. No, you cannot. Because one, you don't have context. We talked about that earlier. Two, your perspective creates a distortion of how you saw it. Three, you don't see all the variables that's causing her and impacting her decision. Four, you don't know her history. You don't know the industry. Five, you don't have the same competitors and the same customers and the same challenges. So observation knowledge. So if you were to come to me right now and say, Nana, how did you run Fight Team Media? Share that with me. I'm blind of your life and you're blind of my life. We're wasting each other's time. In order for me to help you, I got to go to your level and see what you're dealing with. In order for you to help, and for you to get my knowledge, you got to be able to contextually see the world that I'm dealing with and the level of impact I'm engaging. It's like if I talk to, I used to love to play basketball before I got too old with these knees. If I had the pleasure of meeting Michael Jordan or LeBron James, it's a waste of my time to talk to them about basketball. They're too advanced. Whatever I think and see, I can't translate. They're too far removed. Stop trying to learn business through observation. You cannot learn business through observation. There's too much you cannot see. There's so many principles, models, systems, policy. There's so many things working behind the scene that are invisible to your observation that it actually makes you a poor. So if I sat there and studied, observation knowledge is like you watching baseball or football or basketball on TV every week since you was 5, and then somebody gives you a chance to play one day professionally. You realize you can't play shit with all that observation. Only thing you can tell people about is their stats and their names. You maybe even recognize the play they're running. But if you observe basketball your whole life and you got to the game, you wouldn't know. All of a sudden you'll find out, oh, damn, the coach has a certain strategy. Oh, shit, we got to make a certain decision because this person is going to be moving from this team to another team sooner or later. Oh, shoot, we only sold this many tickets in the arena, so we're doing this now this way to attract people. Oh, shoot, we're dealing with this new competition because this team changed their method. So all those things you can never see is not going to be picked up through observation. So stop championing this idea because you observe somebody in business, you understand the business. Even you got a job where you work with somebody for a little while, observation knowledge is not enough. It's observation combined with learning, curiosity, question, studying, training, focus training. Okay, now we're talking about something. But observing entrepreneurs doesn't make you an entrepreneur, nor can you teach an entrepreneur. That's why one of the reasons I created this class is because there's too many people teaching entrepreneurship who've never been an entrepreneur. They just observe entrepreneurs. So they can't really put things into context. And without context, I'm teaching you empty knowledge. It's empty knowledge. Let's keep going. This is huge. These are all basics, but when we start to plant these seeds and grow these seeds, these things I'm giving you guys some heavy, heavy, heavy information. Challenge assumptions. Challenge assumptions. A lot of us, sometimes I heard this a long time ago. It says, what destroys many of us is what we think we know. What destroys many of us is what we think we know. When you make a decision or you think about something, you don't realize how many blind assumptions are integrated in your decision making. That you never sat down and said, well, is that true? Learn to separate your assumptions from what you know. That's a very difficult thing. You're not going to do it in no 1 week. It's something you have to commit to practice. When you learn to separate your assumptions from your knowledge, you will be able to enhance your knowledge. You will be able to speed up your growth. I mean, drastically. But the more you bake in your assumptions, meaning that you don't challenge them, you just kind of accept them, and you continue to articulate from them because they worked so far, they're going to be the hidden destroyer of your. Oh, matter of fact, hold on a second. Let me say something real quick about radical responsibility. I want to talk about two popular things that just happened. What was a black restaurant that just closed in Oakland? Brown Sugar Kitchen. Now, this is not an attack upon her, but I want you guys. There's something that happened that was amazing to me. And then the Dallas Cowboys, same thing happened. Dallas Cowboys lost a game because the referee supposedly bumped into somebody and didn't get there fast enough. And then the fans started to throw trash at the referee, and the quarterback, instead of saying, hey, that's just not cool, he kind of sided in the blame towards the referee's cause the failure. By him blaming, he tried to remove himself from causation. Dude, your game sucked. You put yourself in that position where that's how you had to win. And on that last play, it still relied upon a Hail Mary. It wasn't like you were on the half-yard line and you had beast mode in his youth and the other team was soft, and if he would have just ran, he would have got it. It was a Hail Mary play that was prevented because you ran out of time. But by blaming, you don't see all the mistakes. Matter of fact, you don't get to place the ball in the NFL. You have to pass the ball to the referee to place the ball. So you place the ball, and the referee had to push through to then grab the ball and replace it again, which lost your time, right? You decided before that play to run, physically run, which keeps the clock moving, as opposed to pass the ball and get out of bounds, which stops the clock. So instead of you looking at all the causations of all the different things you did, you quickly blame the referee. And you support it, and you continue to blame the referee days after, not looking at what you could have done better, what your team could have done better, and what you could have coached better. And then the coach engaged and said, yes, I never seen anything like this where the referee did this. So the coach participated in the blame game. This in itself suggests that the Dallas Cowboys would be in the same position next year. The Brown Sugar Kitchen, they asked her on a news interview, why is the restaurant closing? Let me give you the proper response should have been, well, it's closing because, I got to go back and reflect on what did I do wrong? I'm sure there's some things I could have did better, and I'm going to sit down and reflect upon that and come back in the industry and do something even greater. That's the way a healthy entrepreneur needs to think. But instead she said, well, because, I didn't get the money white people got. COVID, crime, my street is empty. It's just, at the end of the day, but I'm over it anyway. So I'm the best in hospitality in Oakland because I've been professionally trained. So I probably gonna just start doing that for a living. Yeah, she said that. Yeah. Right? When you blame others, there's things you cannot see when you were in your best intent. And sometimes when you just take a breath and step back, you say, oh shit, I could do this or the other different, right? But to start going to white folks, COVID, crime, empty streets, not enough support, blah, 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 means that you're doomed to repeat the same mistakes again. And now you're in this loop where after a while, now you're running some social justice group where you're screaming about how unfair white folks in the government is when you don't realize it ain't about white folks in the government, it's your lack of performance. I know that's going to piss some people off, but I don't give a shit because that's not what I'm here to make you feel warm and fuzzy. I'm here to help you grow. So back to challenge assumptions. Learn to challenge your assumptions. We're going to get into this. This is one of the most powerful of all the principles I'm introducing to you. Learn to separate what you think you know from what you actually know. The more you learn to divide that and be able to reflect on what you said, the decision you're about to make, the decision you made, how you're moving forward, if you don't start to challenge your assumptions. So, for example, we're working with a school, a major university that wants us to help them with how to repair their diversity program. And the first thing I challenged was, how do they define diversity? If you can tell me how they all define diversity, is there clarity and ownership on the definition of diversity. If they don't have clarity and ownership around the definition of diversity, there's your problem right there. We start from there. But that's an automatic assumption. But everybody's like, we believe in diversity. Diversity is good. But everybody's assuming the meaning of diversity, but no one really owns the phrase diversity. So by me stopping it and going, hey, let's get to these smaller areas, in order for you to be able to take this position, if everybody has a different definition, not only are you creating confusion, distortion, and a weakened program, but you're also creating tension amongst the team and also losing good team members because everybody has a different version of what the fuck diversity means. Because it's full of assumptions. So blind assumptions, you got to learn the art of separating assumptions because when you start to grow a business, which I'm going to get into in a minute, you'll see why this is so important. Time, attention, money. Poor people, we practice this idea called money, time, attention. That's most valuable. You ask black people, what's most invaluable? My money, my time, and they may not even know attention is a part of a thing. What grabs your attention? There's a phrase that says that rich people have money, wealthy people have time. Let me say this again. Rich people have money, but wealthy people have time. The most important thing in business is not money, it's time, attention, then money. Time is finite. You only have so much of it. So if you poorly use it, before you know it, the game's over. Attention. What you focus on is what you become. So whatever grabs your attention directs your life. Matter of fact, if you don't control your attention, you don't control your thinking. If you're not controlling your thinking, somebody will think for you. And then money, because money is replenishable. Once you get on a roll, you'll realize money is the easiest part of the equation. But many of you guys see money is the most complex part of the equation. One, because psychologically you may be suffering from poverty, right? Or poverty culture, poverty mindset. But as you grow, you're going to realize the most valuable asset you have is your time. And when you learn to use that shit, oh boy. Next one. I'm going to go over these couple, here's a few of them. One, don't chase money. If you chase money, ultimately, you will ethically decline. If you chase money, you won't gain enough momentum to keep going. If you chase money, you will compromise your bottom line. If you chase money, you will destroy your business within my time. You must stand for something. And as you stand for something and you chase that, the money will come. If you want to be happy on this journey, because every day ain't going to be happy. It's a lot of boring, grunt work ass days. But when you stand for something, it helps you get through that shit. If you're just chasing money, I promise you won't last past 1 or 2 years. I know people right now with successful businesses who cannot manage their business because they started the business based upon money and they have no interest in the fucking outcome of the business. Amen, they also can't keep employees because they don't stand for anything. If you want to have a rich, healthy work environment, one, don't chase money. Number two, business is about relationships. College is about relationships. Life is about relationships. If you want to be successful in business, there is no lone wolf in business. No individual is going to be successful by themselves. Also, only thing that stands between you and your dreams is another person. So all this and I'm canceling, or I'm individual, or I don't need nobody to tell me what to do, I'm by myself, or fuck you, or whatever way that we imply individualism, all those ideas are acts of poverty. If you want to be strong in this world, realize you won't make yourself strong, your relationship to others will make you strong. Next, live a life of integrity. You give your word, keep it. You show up to somebody, show up to somebody. If you make a promise, keep it. And if you can't keep it, show up to ask for a change or bring it to somebody's attention. Don't tell somebody, hey, I'll be there Thursday to help you move. And on Friday, be like, oh, Thursday night, go, oh, man, I forgot. Stop practicing this art of white lies. Let me tell you why. Let this train go by. The old train. Give me some water. Well, we'll try to talk until he blows his horn. Trust That's funny. Trust is the thread that holds everything together. Trust is what allows people to follow you as a future leader. Trust is what produces a powerful team. You will not be able to produce the necessary infrastructure without trust. And if you lose integrity, you destroy trust. So whatever you want to build, you getting money, getting investments. Because sometimes we hear about a lot of businesses receive local family investments. Reason a lot of you guys cannot receive investments from your own family because you don't have any integrity. You run around here and you stunt and you say, hey, yeah, I see you tomorrow. I'm gonna come through. Yeah, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Hey, I'll call you next week. Cut that shit out. If you don't plan on doing it, don't say it. If you can't show to it, don't promise it. When you start getting to this loosey-goosey promise game or losing your integrity by telling white lies or breaking your promises, don't be surprised. It's going to feel like you're by yourself because you actually are. The way you join and connect with other people is through integrity. If business and life is about relationships, integrity is what's going to gel those relationships together.
Yeah.
I love this phrase here by Karen Lamb. It says, just start. A year from now, you will wish you had started today. You only need to, and then that's so what she's saying is that if you don't start today, a year from now, you wish you would have started today. In business, just start your business. Stop overthinking this shit. You're not going to know this journey before you take off. You're not going to be a master. You can't over-prepare for this journey because you've never been there before. And you can't get all the advice you need because nobody's going to take your journey. Your journey is a specific, you're going into a land that's been unexplored to create something that has never existed before. So it's your journey. Next line it says, you only need to know the direction, not the destination. The direction is enough to make the next choice. In business, no, you don't need to know the destination. Many of you guys won't take off because you're trying to see what's my next move, what's my next destination. You just need to own the direction and go. Just go. Win or lose, it's a win. Win or lose, it's a win. Well, supplies is getting back up because trains are moving in. Win or lose, it's a win. But staying at home and not taking off on your dreams or your vision or your business is an automatic loss. Stop trying to intellectually analyze every step of business. Just go and figure that shit out. Start practicing, go and grow and practice. Grow and practice. Grow and practice. And over time, you'll become an entrepreneur. But stop thinking you need to be an entrepreneur to take off on this journey. Just go. Because you don't own the destination. That's an illusion. You're not going to know all the best decisions to make. You won't be able to foresee the problem. You can't predict the future. The future is too random. Nobody would have predicted COVID in 2019 in a business plan. And you watch a lot of entrepreneurs figure that shit out in 2020. I watched my man Court do some of the most dopest recovery moves I've ever seen. I watched Shakina do some dope-ass recovery moves I've ever seen. Right? In addition to that, I was taught by my old great-grandmother, hey, save for rainy days. So when COVID hit, I had 2 years of runway. Meaning that if I didn't make no money for 2 years, I can keep staff going. Right? That's because I was taught by some old ways of that people came out of war who realized tomorrow's not promised to you. But we've been lulled to sleep over years because we haven't seen war, we haven't seen a pandemic. So we start thinking that we have full control of time in the future. You don't. So just do it. Just go. Next one. You don't need everybody to be successful. If you have 1,000 or 2,000 customers, you are filthy rich. In Bay Area alone, there's 7.5 million people. If you have 0.5% of those people, 0.5% of those people, you're pretty fucking well off. I want you to understand, In our mind, we try to say in business, I want to serve my product to everybody. Business is an act of discrimination. You discriminate against those who don't give a shit, and you line up for those who do give a shit. So to try to serve everybody serves nobody. In business, you don't try to hit every customer is not your customer. You just need to reach a core small group of customers who will make you rich as hell. When Apple did their big commercial during the Super Bowl, and a company that's worth $1 trillion, that big ass Super Bowl commercial, out of 300 and some odd million people that was watching the Super Bowl, they only wanted 1 million customers. 1 million customers to respond. Not 10 million, 20 million, 5 million. That big ass commercial, out of all the people in America, 350 million people in America, they only wanted 1 million customers to run their big $1 trillion company. A lot of us in our mind, all great businesses start small. 1,000 customers, now you're a rich company. And you have money to invest to 2,000 customers. And once you get into that type of growth, you get into exponential growth, which can go from 2,000 to 30,000 overnight. But you don't need everybody. So stop trying to appeal to everybody. Find the people who want your products and service and serve them at the highest possible fucking level. Next one. The customer defines your business, you don't. Stop telling me you love your logo. Stop telling me you love your product. Stop telling me you love your storefront. Stop telling me you love your customers, your colors, and you never check in with your customers. Your business is what your customers say it is, not what you say it is. Stop using your customers to push your passion. Lower your passion. If it ain't selling, change it. If it ain't selling, realign it. If it ain't sell it, find the customers who want to buy it. But do me a favor, stop suggesting what you think is what the customer wants. Your job is to start off with your own vision, true, but slowly morph it where you marry your idea to what the customer wants. So that means you always listen to the customer and you're always adjusting your business to figure out opportunities to show up at the highest level for that particular niche of customers. The problem with many of you guys, I love my logo. I would never change it. Why would you not change it? I love this design we have, this website I have. Why do you love it? How much money is it making you? If it's not making you the proper revenue, I'm not sure why you like it. I would never love a logo that's not making me no money. I don't know how that would happen. Once again, at the end of the day, if it ain't drawing you any money, cut this personal passion project out. Yeah. You have a hobby you're trying to mask as a business. If you're running a business, it's a marriage between what you want to bring to the world and what the world's asking for. If you want to bring an idea the world don't give a fuck about, then you have a hobby. So your business is not what you say it is. Your marketing campaign is not what you say it is. It's what the customers say it is. Next one, which is key thing. Anything in your life that's not working, any value you have, any belief you have, anything you believe in, anything that's in your life that's not working for you should go on trial. Anything. My mama taught me this principle. Is it working for you? It should be on trial. Review it. Is it me causing it not to work, or is this a dumbass idea? Anything. You should be willing to divorce anything that is not giving you the life you want.
Yes, sir.
Period. Anything. Stop being loyal to ideas that is not loyal to you. Many of you guys are serving ideas that has never served you, have never served you, but you're just blindly loyal to it. Many of you guys are idea fundamentalists, where you guys are loyal, will fight somebody, argue with somebody, but if I ask you, well, how's that idea working for you? It's not. So cut the shit out. Next one, stop celebrating natural talent. You know I've always been good at this. Natural talent is a weakness. It can be a boost if you put it in context, but natural talent is a weakness. You know, I've always done hair at the house. I've always been good with hair. It's a weakness. We say, well, why is it a weakness, Nana? Because in business, you're going to have many variations, and natural talent means that you're not trained for variations. Number two, when you brag about natural talent, you just told the customer, I don't practice. Imagine if your doctor told you right now, I'm really natural. I never went to school for this, but I'm really good at cutting bodies open, taking out hearts and shit. So you should let me do your open surgery because I done did this shit about 10, 15 times. I'm pretty solid at that shit. Y'all be like, wait, what? Would you believe that there's no superstar ever in the NBA that got there through natural talent? What usually happens in basketball is somebody will come into sports with natural talent and they will do well in elementary, junior high, and maybe in D-level college. But once they get to a certain level, they get exposed. You have to, if you have a natural talent, natural attraction, that should give you motivation to focus and train and grow and develop variation of skills around that talent. And you being able to repeat it, duplicate it, and magnify it, reduce it, adjust it, play with, can you manipulate it to win? Natural talent is never enough. Do not brag about that. It speaks towards you. In our community, we brag about natural talent all the time. I like to tinker with things and try to figure it out. If you don't cut that shit out in the real world, what you just told somebody who wants to make it, if I'm an investor, you talk about natural talent, I'm walking out the room before this conversation gets started. Because if you get a different variation of a challenge, can you shift that talent to deal with the different variations of the opposition or the randomness of life? You cannot. And also, you just told me I don't practice. I don't need somebody who egotistically in love with themselves because they ask their mom and their close friends, are they tight? And because you're better than them, they think you're the greatest of all times. I'm a natural talent in fashion, so I'm my own boutique. I'm a natural talent in music production, so I'm becoming a producer. If you don't cut that shit out, learn. And it's okay what you don't know because you're not going to learn it all in one day. But just start practicing and start learning so you can earn the respect of even your peers in the market. Your peers can tell when you bullshit, when you that natural talent shit. They're like somebody come to me right now and tell me I'm running my own marketing company. I say, oh shit, no shit, huh? And he starts to brag, or she starts to brag about their natural talent. They lost my interest. I'm not going to sit in that room for long. But if they start to highlight their practices and how they're engaging, how they're growing themselves, then we start to build a relationship and we could build a smart collaboration and make money together. Natural talent takes you out of serious conversations with serious people. Stop bragging about natural talent. It makes you look weak. In business, you don't need to win every game. You just need to win the season. This is again. In business, you don't need to win every fucking game. You're going to lose a lot of games, but do you have a winning season? This should help you understand that failure. So let's say the Warriors are playing a game and one night they go out there and they can't hit a jump shot to save their motherfucking life. Or let's say that one night they run some plays, the plays suck. You learn from that game, you get back in, you get to play again the next day. You're going to lose hella games, but do you have a winning season? If you're playing infinite game, it's about a winning season. If you're playing finite games, you're focusing on winning games. And because you're playing winning games, it's too harsh on you. You beat yourself up. You have a false sense of reality. You spend money foolishly. You make poor decisions. You literally destroy your business by playing the every game you must win. But when you play a winning season, you can accept the wins and losses as as knowledge and research and development. You don't even mind losing sometimes because it's an experiment. Because you're playing to win the game. You're playing the long game. So stop trying to win every game and focus on winning seasons. I'm moving fast, but hey, if you can't hang, hey, listen here. Just this is being recorded, so hit rewind. Next one. This is powerful as fuck. This is quick, but it's powerful as fuck. In business, there's peaks and valleys of growth. There's peaks and valleys of growth. There's peaks and valleys of growth. Now, this is I'm going to give you stay with me. I'm going to paint a picture through words. In business, let's say you're the number one. Talking too loud. In business, let's say you're at the peak of your performance in the Bay Area. Let's say you're the number one business in the Bay Area. So let's say you got the number one gym in the Bay Area, right? And you're making all the money in the Bay Area. If you decide you want to take on California, or you decide you want to go into a new industry, you're at the valley again. In business, you never peak out. Let's say you came out of college with a high-ass degree. You're at the peak of the game. Once you start a business, you're at the valley of the game, and you have to climb again. Every time you reach the height of your performance or your market and decide to expand, you go back into the valley. This is important. What many of us do unconsciously is think because we are at a peak, it now translates to a peak of everything. If you're a peak of any business, if you run an auto business and you decide you want to get into real estate, you reach the peak of auto business, and once you go into real estate, you got to go all the way down to the valley and then grow to the next peak. So life goes like this, and it continues to grow. So I don't give a shit what your performance has been. If you think a peak is a transferable skill that goes across the board in everything you do, you're highly don't get it. If you are a director or CEO of a company and you decide to become an entrepreneur, you're in the valley of that game. You're at the peak of the game. You're at the valley of the game. Now, can you move a little faster than the average person because of previous knowledge? Yes. But remember, every time you decide to expand, grow, or take on anything new, you go into a valley. Peak valley theory. Next thing, amateur versus professional. Amateurs sometimes think they're professionals, but professionals never think they're amateurs. What makes a person a professional is they are consistent in the delivery every time. An amateur is inconsistent. Professional is always consistent, right? Amateurs, it's okay for amateur every once in a while to get into the illusion that they're a professional. Then they get reminded real quick, oh shit, I can't do this. It's probably when professionals think they're so goddamn good they don't realize they're actually amateurs, which goes back to the peak and valley principle. So a lot of times you were a professional in the first journey. Once you decided to expand, you became an amateur again. But in your brain, you think you're still a professional, when no, you're now an amateur again. So quite often, we're not able to take advantage of new opportunities because we're taking our egotistical perception of ourselves into the next challenge, not realizing, no, you're at the bottom. I don't give a fuck what your reputation was before you got here. You could be the most popular person in Oakland who made the most. You could be the Oprah Winfrey of your industry. But if Oprah Winfrey decides she wants to get into marketing, she has to go to the valley of the game. Now, can she accelerate it because she got money? Can she buy people to change that position? Yes. But if she decides she wanted to speak on marketing, she would have to start from square one, and she's back in the valley. It doesn't, maybe not marketing, because she's been in marketing. Let's say selling cars, right? She would instantly fall into a valley. So quite often, amateurs will think they're professionals, but we get reminded by the industry, you're just an amateur. But a lot of times, professionals never see themselves as amateurs. And you have to understand that you will become an amateur at some point in your growth, again, and again, and again. This is why if you're not in a learning environment, you're going to fail because you lose the ability to continue to learn. Giving. Giving is one of the most powerful things you can do in business, period. Let me just say something that was real powerful. I can go into giving for a whole hour if I want to, but I'm going to hit two leading points. One, by giving, you create energy. By giving, you create energy that will actually increase how you receive. For every time you give, you get. But what's more important about giving? Listen to me real quick here in this world full of trauma and depression. Giving converts your trauma and your depression into positive energy. Giving converts your trauma, your hardships, and your depression. It converts it to positive energy that you can actually use. I'm talking about giving. I ain't talking about just like, going to church or giving to 510 meeting. I'm talking about giving every way you can that's possible for you. It's the most healing enhancement we can naturally gain. You get more energy from giving than you do from receiving.
Amen, brother.
I'm going to stop there because I can go for hours in giving. Giving is one of the most powerful tools of business. When you run a business, your business should be designed to not only get, but to also give. Move on. Next one. Let go of the single mentor shit. Mentorship is not scalable. Oh, I'm looking for a mentor, and 1,000 others are. If that person was to respond to everybody, that person have no time for themselves. You should have a multiple mentor level, meaning that different people that you admire, you study, you follow, that you engage in conversations with, you should make more than one source your mentorship. You should have multiple things that mentor you in a certain space. If you see learning as not a linear process, but a compounded, broad process, but also focus. I know that sounds kind of a contradiction, but it has its place. Then you would spread out this idea that many people could be your mentors. Many people could show up in a mentor role. But by having a single mentor model, it's not scalable, it's not realistic, and more likely that person will fail you. Business plans suck, but planning doesn't. The reason you can't write a successful business plan because you've never been there before. So how you gonna plan for something you don't know where the fuck you're going, right? But should you plan? Yes, you should. Absolutely, you should plan. You should know your numbers. You should know your profit and losses. You should know your customers. You should be able to have details about where you're going and why you want to get there. But your planning should be flexible to be changed based upon new discovery. Never make your business plan the business. It's a tool for the business. It's not the business. Your greatest obstacle in life is not white people. It's not straight people. It's not gay people. It's not men. It's not white men. It's not black men. It's not black women who ain't never gave you a chance because you weird. Your greatest obstacle is yourself. Period. The social justice got you fucked up. The person you need to work on the most, the person you need to pay attention to the most is yourself. The greatest obstacle in life is yourself. And we're going to spend 1 year showing you how to get yourself out the fucking way. But you don't realize white folks ain't holding you back. They don't have the time or money to hold you back. Do you realize what it costs to hold somebody back? How much time if I held you back, that means I have to fail. Because that's all I have time to do. So most people don't have time to hold you back. Now, I'm not saying they haven't created systems that causes sludge and causes you to slow down. But even that is just an obstacle that you can get around. The reality is the greatest thing holding you back is yourself. And if you can get yourself out the way, your possibilities is outside of your imagination. Your imagination can't even begin to perceive your possibilities. Value. Other people don't give you value, you do. White people don't give you value, your job don't give you value, your boyfriend, your girlfriend don't give you value, your children don't give you value. God, don't make your children give you value. People don't give you value is something you create. If you're not doing something valuable, you won't be valued. Stop not doing anything and then telling the world to value you. If you want to be valuable, do valuable shit. First thing to be valuable is invest in self. That increases your value. Show it for others. That tremendously increases your value. But if you're at home playing video games, going to work every day, and only paying attention to yourself and not improving yourself, then stop asking everybody to call you valuable when you're not valuable. If you die tomorrow and nobody loses 1 minute of sleep, you're not valuable. And the reason you're not valuable is because you haven't made any personal investments. Stop blaming the world for lack of value. Look at the value that you're missing is not for somebody to call out. So women, men, those are like, I don't feel like I'm good enough. Do you practice good enough shit? Do you do good enough shit? If you're at home doing shit that's not of no value, then you are what you practice. Have that real conversation with yourself. And it doesn't matter. You can go home and practice the art of growing a rose. And that's what you practice is the art of roses, and you master roses. To a large group of people, you're valuable. And that's all you need. Everybody, the human brain doesn't care about, we don't go past 1,500 people what we care about. We can't. We don't have more than 150 people that we even can see or remember their name. And we only have about 5 to 10 people that we're actually close to. So in your circle where you show up, are you doing valuable things by investing in self? Or are you showing in these circles and you're just hoping that somebody will respect you for your natural talent? Natural talent again. We're back to that shit. My point is this. If you want to be valuable, do valuable shit. Stop asking somebody to call you. If people are not seeing you or calling you out by your value, look at your life and what you're doing. I promise you, if you're showing up in a valuable way, people will sometimes cry when they talk about you because how much value you add to life. But if you're going home every day and watching TV and going back to work, and on the weekends you're going to the festival, the clubs, the parties, and you repeat the same process every time, and you buying hella clothes, and because you dressed up hella nice, you're valuable. Nope, you're not valuable. Value is based upon your contribution to life and contribution to self. First with self, then life. First with self, then life. So value is not what white people, black people, men or women, colleagues, your office, business, customers, your employees can give you. Value is something you create for yourself. Let's keep it rolling, y'all. I'm shit. I'm almost done with it. I'm almost ready for some questions up in here. Woo! I'm moving like, man, I'm so fast tonight. Man, I'm gonna eat me a little cough drop. I don't care what y'all say, because I'm killing it. All right, let's do this. Shit. Hey. Because, doing this by yourself and you out of rhythm is hard. I'm used to like bouncing and you take one, I take one. You take one. Let's just keep this shit rolling until we get to the end. We have to do all these back to back to back. My throat is dry. Anyway, I got it. I do basketball when I make a shot. All right, so anyway. You ever heard somebody say, you gotta work twice as hard to get half as much? That has to be passed down through slavery. If you're an entrepreneur, that makes no fucking sense. Now, somewhere it makes sense. Maybe in corporate America it does make sense. If you work in a racist-ass environment where they really don't want to fucking have you there, but I can almost challenge you that doesn't apply there. It says on this slide, do less, but do better. Any energy that goes into what doesn't matter comes at the expense of what does. With a little extra time, you can raise the standard from good enough to great. Narrow the focus, raise the standards, and set yourself apart. If you have to do twice as much, you have to work twice as hard to get twice as much, you're under-talented. You're under-talented. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going to make it feel good about it. Fuck you. You're under-talented. And I'm not here. I don't have time to keep comforting this shit. This is just the reality of life. Life ain't comforting. Life has got some fucked up shit. It has good and bad, and it's all great. We say life has good and bad, but it's all great. And life has some, like, if you right now jump out of a window, that shit gonna hurt. It ain't no, I floated to the ground and I smelled roses on the way down, and then somebody had my favorite sandwich for me when I got there. No, that shit fucking hurt. If you're working twice as hard, or you sitting here thinking that you have to work super hard to get ahead, it's because you're trying to compensate for not investing in self. If you're not in a constant rhythm of self-investment, the greater you become, the more strategic you become in your decision making, not only do you work less, but you grow faster. Not only do you work less, but you grow faster. When you're working hard all the time, all you're doing is repeating bad habits. Meaning that you got yourself in a work loop. You're not growing, you're not expanding. In order for you to expand, you have to be able to stop, reflect, think about it, walk away from it, go on a bike ride, a jog, or a swim, come back, and then make another decision. Go home and sleep on it. That means you can't always be, you're going to start underperforming. You rely upon, it got me here, so it should get me here. No, that's not how it works. You're relying upon natural talent, and you're hoping that the guys will support you, and you're hoping somebody will give you an opportunity and put you on. In business, that's not how shit works. If somebody puts me on, that means they also control me. I want to put myself on. Every human being has needs. All you have to do is align yourself with their needs and show up to their fucking needs. But if you want somebody to put you on, that means you're a servant to those who put you on. So why are we in that position? Because we're working too damn hard. You're working too goddamn hard. Lighten up a little bit. Learn your skill so you can take one step to create two. It says every energy that goes into what doesn't matter comes at the expense of what does. A lot of times when you don't know what matters and you're not skilled, you're doing a lot of shit that doesn't matter. A lot of shit that doesn't matter. How many times can you sweep the motherfucking floor? How many times can you organize a fucking office? How many emails you going to read that don't mean shit? How many phone calls of bad sales that you made? How many long-ass conversations to people who ain't going to buy your shit? How many events have you attended or a conference you went to that didn't make you no fucking money? How many times have you been at a club talking about business at the club? Come on, man. All the shit that doesn't matter. And you know what? The right people won't talk to me because you don't practice. I don't want to talk to you either. You have developed a language, the translation, and the context through practice that allows people to want to have a conversation with you because it's beneficial for both parties. So you have to work. Guess what you do? That's how you backfill that. I work hella hard to get $10. Are you fucking serious? It says with a little extra time, you can raise the standards from good enough to great. Meaning that with a little extra time of just practicing and investing in yourself, you can go from good to great. Narrow the focus. Stop hustling. Okay, stop motherfucking hustling. When you try to do everything, you suck at the things that really matters to you. You can't do everything and be great at the thing you're trying to focus on. Every time you split your attention, you compromise something. You need focus to be great. Okay. This one's I just love this one. The difference between average results and exceptional ones is what you avoid. Let me say this again. This is so powerful. Let's go back to hustling. This is the difference between average results and exceptional ones is what you avoid. Saying no to mediocre opportunities is pretty easy. Saying no to good opportunities is hard. See, when you hustling, your form of business is exploit opportunities. Oh, that's a good opportunity. No, I know what you're saying, but that's a good opportunity. That's a good opportunity. That's an opportunity. And that's why you suck. Focus and knowing how to think is knowing to say no to certain opportunities. Let's say Kaja kills it at Google. And while killing it at Google, she starts her own business. And she's killing her own business. And then people start asking her to come speak. And they're going to pay her $10,000, $15,000. Well, the first time she does that, she's like, shit, $15,000 for 3 or 4 hours or flying across the nation and doing this that's not too bad. You know, I'm new in business, not too bad. But if she understands time, attention, money, after a while, it becomes highly destructive. Even though a lot of money, a lot of people going to see you, it comes down to does this make any sense anymore? Can you say no to good opportunities? And that's a higher level of thinking that we're going to get into in the second half of the year of how do you make a decision between how do you learn to say, because saying no is saying yes to another opportunity. Yes, you got to be very clear what opportunity ranks the highest in your list of opportunities. If you say yes to all opportunities, that means you're not clear on where you're going and why you need to go there. Time, attention, money. Not money, time, attention. Money, time, attention keeps you poor. Once you stand time, attention, money, that's what you want to live for, to get your time back. Think about if you worked hella hard from the age of 20 to 70 years of age. Your most physically, sexually, most powerful part of your life, you would just disappear, grinding your knuckles. Then you finally get there and then you die 10 years later. What the fuck was that for? Wealthy people understand they want their time. They want to see family. They want to explore. They want to connect with other human beings. They want to live the life that God gave them. Time, attention, money. You're going to learn wealth in this class. I'm not going to teach you how to hustle, make a couple of dollars. That's waste your fucking time. Plus, it's too easy. So, Shane Parrish. And before we just one slide, they want to open up to any questions that may come online. Shane Parrish is somebody that I study a lot of his website, FS Farnham Street. You should write that down, FS Farnham Street. Read articles every chance you get. Excellent website. Based upon it, it's very philosophical, teaches excellent decision making, excellent mental models. Things we're going to get to in the second half of the year. You may not get the context of most of the stuff you're reading, but by the end of this year, that should be one of your favorite sites to visit. But he wrote this article and he said, things that reduce the odds of long-term success. Each one of these subjects is so deep, and I'm not going to get into them tonight unless somebody says, can you explain that? But I'm going to just read these all to you. These are things that guarantee to destroy your success. Lack of focus, making excuses. That's opposite of radical responsibility. Making excuses. Staying up late. I know you're like, what? Yes. Eating poorly. I just went over that. Checking emails first thing in the AM. That's a cold one. Working more to fix being busy. You working more to fix being busy. Buying things you don't have money for. Focusing on yourself. This business thing is not about you, baby. It's about the way you show up to others. Letting other people define success for you. Letting other people define success for you. The wrong relationships. Remember I said this is all about relationships? Get the wrong relationships. This shit will fuck you. And a lack of patience. Anybody that's listening to me talking about, well, I'm going to take the class 3 or 4 times. That should help me be successful. This is why you're not successful. This is a long journey you're about to embark on. You don't get on this journey and then you're going to be there next month or next week. Or I quit my job about 3 months before I have to go back. Give me some tips on how to be successful. First tip, stop talking to me. Second tip, good luck. Third tip, play the lottery. It's not how this shit works. Like, patience is so fucking critical. So, Shakita, do we have any questions or anything that anybody wants me to reflect, go back on? Turn the microphone on.
All right, so the first question is from Coletta. She asked, you always have to make sacrifices. Is your lack of sleep I believe she's going to say an inevitable sacrifice for those that have to work multiple jobs while working on their business? So there's an exception to these rules?
No, okay. So, first of all, anytime I say no to you or I challenge an idea, I want us to be very clear. When I say no to you, I understand that I'm disrupting your reality. I understand it can be painful. I understand that my responses will make you uncomfortable. And it should. But I understand it. So let me say no kindly. 2, there is no bad people and there's no dumb people. The reason you work multiple jobs or whatever you're doing, you have a perspective that's created that behavior, and I get it. Working multiple jobs, period, is diminishing in returns. At some point, you're going backwards. 2, you're not working on your business if you have 2 jobs. Working your business is a thinking process, not a do process. Oh, wait a minute, did I cover? You know, she missed one. Okay, she missed one. She missed a few. Oh. She missed some slides. She really did. There's a couple that she missed. Oh, boy. Let me say this real quick. Yeah, let me say this real quick. There's 2 that she missed. There's a difference between, hear this. This is important. Everybody, pay attention to this. It's critical. 1, there's a difference between being self-employed and an entrepreneur. This will help her answer out. This will help her like kind of process it, because if she worked multiple jobs, that speaks towards her strength in her. By the way, I'm a black man, so I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this as an assumption. I can't back this assumption up, and this is not my class. This is not part of the class. But I think black women got a superpower. I seen black women do 5 things and raise a child. I don't know what God gave y'all that the rest of us don't understand, but just be able to witness it. So I want to say that whoever the sister is, when she decides to focus, she's a beast in the making. She's a powerful person. That's 1. There is a difference between self-employed and entrepreneur. Self-employed means you do the work. Entrepreneur means you get other people to build your company for you. Entrepreneur is in charge of the people, and the people are in charge of the results. A self-employed is in charge of the results. Many of us think that self-employed is an entrepreneur. It is not. It's just you employed yourself, so you still have a job. You just happen to be your only boss. So you can work. So that's why you have to work so fucking hard. Entrepreneur is you have to motivate and lead other people to do the work for you. Why is that important? All this stuff we covered today, the reason you have to work on yourself and get yourself in the right space, because you have to put yourself in a space of leadership and the nature and the character of a leadership to motivate other people and to be able to see other people and then adjust to the diversity of other people to get those people to rally around a single idea and achieve a goal at the highest level. That requires so much personal growth to achieve that responsibility that you cannot work on being an entrepreneur and have 2 jobs. But what you should be excited about is that you are a very powerful person that once you focus, you're going to be like Speedy Gonzalez. Your velocity is going to be crazy because you have the ability to have huge impact, huge growth, and you have a level of grit that we all have to tip our hat to. But by splitting your attention, time, attention, money, by splitting your attention, you're compromising your future. And you're exploiting your time because by you having multiple jobs, money's number one for you right now. You got to. So if it means quitting 2 jobs to find a better job, do that. You have to do that. But at some point, you have to be able to narrow your focus to start getting ahead. Otherwise, you're taking this powerful woman. I think it was a woman you said it was, right? You're taking this powerful woman who has the power to be a very powerful person in this world. And we got all these things attached to her, draining her resources from her. So her greatness comes from focus. And that may be a process to get. It might be, hey, 6 months from now, I'm going to figure my way out of this so I can have 1 job I work, so I can then work on my entrepreneurship and eventually become a full-time entrepreneur. But you can't have 2 jobs. Your brain you use up too much mental resources chemically based upon neuroscience. It's not based upon Donna's opinion. Based upon neuroscience. And I can recommend a whole bunch of neuroscience books, which are the leading research on the way the brain works. It's not possible. It's not possible. Can it be luck? Can it possibly have to do luck? Yeah. No, it's not probable. It's not probable. If you want to increase your chance of being an entrepreneur, cut that other shit out. Any other questions? Only 1 question? That's it? Man, let's get to this last little piece is beefy. This is the part I'm excited about anyway. Let me hold a second. Next, don't say. Oh, another thing I want to say too. When you have a new business idea, let's say you have a business idea right now. It's gonna seem so counterintuitive. Say you came up with a business idea, and then I have this great business idea. What's that document they have you sign? Huh? Non-disclosure agreement. Yeah, NDA. Stop sending that shit out. Cut that. Okay. Unless you have a unique invention that the world has never seen, like a mechanical technology the world's never seen, got it. Now I think about starting this certain restaurant with this certain way of doing things. I need you to sign an NDA before I tell you more about it. Cut it out. When you have an idea, it is yours until you neglect it. If somebody steals it, it's because, first of all, any business idea that exists is an emergent of the customer's desires. You're not the only person that can see that desire. The person who wins that race is the person who starts. If you don't win that race, it wasn't because somebody stole it from you. It was because you just wasn't good enough or you wasn't committed to the idea. The reason you always share your ideas, because through sharing your ideas, you improve your ideas. It's like if you write a letter, if you write a document or write a paper, if you just read it to yourself, it's amazing in your head. Once you share it, you see all kind of flaws. When you have a business idea, share that idea. If somebody stole it from you, it's because you sucked. Should I say it nicer, Marquita? I should say it nicer. Okay, it's because at the end of the day, you just didn't execute it fast enough. I'm sorry. All right, next one. Let's jump into this. So this is another piece by Shane Parrish, and I want to jump into this because I'm going to take sections of this, and you might need to pull your mask down when you read because it sounds like this when you're reading with the mask on. But and nobody get close to it because I don't want y'all talking about she gave you COVID. No, it was your grandmother. But point is this. As you read this, what we want to do is we're going to flow through this, and I'm going to stop here at certain sections, but I'm going to highlight. This is something about Shane Parrish. And Shane Parrish, he used to be part of the FBI, created his own company, and when he was part of the FBI, he was like, well, hey, how do y'all make decisions around here? Like, what tools do you guys use to make decisions? It's like, yeah, we just figure it out. He's like, wait a minute, y'all, I just figured the shit out. What the fuck you mean? Y'all FBI. He goes, well, yeah, we learned from our past mistakes. And we figured it out. He goes, well, yeah, but don't y'all have like where the tools you used? So we didn't have no tools. So he went back to, he started looking around colleges. Where can I sign up to master the art of making decisions? He realized this country doesn't teach you how to make decisions. So he started off saying, well, I'm going to work on gathering information that is timeless or slow to expire around decision making. The most amazing thing about decision making tools is you'll find them in the Bible, the Quran, you'll find them in Hinduism. You'll find these principles, they're age old principles. It's just that many of us, when we read these books, like the Bible or the Quran, we actually don't have the context to read them. So we water down these deep principles that are freaking powerful and amazing down to our simple understanding. What is it, lean out to your own understanding? That was an old phrase, right? So he on his FS Farnham Street, he's always presenting these complex ideas that help you improve your decision making. That's what the whole website is dedicated to. And it's been around for a long time now. It's a major business that he's built around it. And he has a group of books that we're going to be teaching later on in about 6 months. But he wrote this one piece one year, I think the end of last year, that I thought was absolutely amazing. And we're going to go through it. But it's almost the exact reason why we created Hope as a class. And so why don't you just go ahead and jump into that real quick.
Closing thoughts by Shane Parrish of Farnham Street. The environment is the hidden force that guides behavior. One reason it's so effective is that it speaks to your subconscious mind and not your conscious mind.
In 6 months, this is going to be one of the most revolutionary things you're going to learn in this class. Most revolutionary things. If you ever can wrap your mind around it, you're going to realize most of the shit you've been taught in the media is somebody manipulating you about the past. If I can manipulate your past, I control your future. If I can tell you all you ever was slaves and servitude and second-class citizens and full of failure stories, then that's all you expect from life. You don't realize how everything around you is speaking to your subconscious mind. Your neighborhood, your streets. When you drive home and you see evidence of a sideshow, it affects your subconscious mind. When you drive down 580, you see trash on the side of the freeway, it's impacting your subconscious mind. When you see buildings boarded up and broken glass everywhere, I just had to do that because it's old school. Y'all don't know about that. Young people, y'all like, what the fuck you do everywhere like that for? Anyway, but broken glass everywhere. That's affecting your subconscious mind. The way your house is designed is impacting your subconscious mind. The way you talk to each other is affecting your subconscious mind. The way you have deteriorated in your values and your ethics is impacting your subconscious mind. Social media, news, television, which social media should be on trial. They should be on trial. They should actually be on trial because their job is to gain addiction. They put beautiful words around it, but the main purpose of social media is to gain addiction, and they define it as controlling the position in the market, right? Your data, I want to pay attention to the data points, which is I want to pay attention to everything you're doing, and at some point I want to increase your addiction. But in increasing your addiction, I'm creating a virtual reality that distorts reality itself. And if you buy into this virtual reality, you become so disconnected from reality, you can't build shit in the real world. The world around you, friends, family, clothes, colors, TV, car, house, grass, pets, I don't give a fuck, is speaking to your subconscious mind and is directing your conscious behavior, but your brain, you can't see. This is a neuroscience thing that we know that we use in the field all the time. You can't see it. It's not it's not it's not counterintuitive. It's not like, oh yeah, I can feel that. It's just, yeah, that makes sense, right? And so this is critical. So the environment's hidden force that guides behavior. One reason it is so effective that it speaks to our subconscious mind, not at your conscious mind. You can walk to the hood and consciously, it just doesn't bother you. You know where the hardship happened. You know it ain't really that bad over here. Or you know everybody know you. You think it has no impact upon you. Subconsciously, it's crazy. The schools our kids are going to, subconsciously is destroying them before they even get in the game. I don't think you understand how powerful the subconscious game is. Our oppression, our lack of investment of ownership of our environment and allowing it to deteriorate, it set up the next generation in this infinite game. It set the next generation to repeat our level of performance. If we don't invest in the environment we live in, we're dooming the next generation, even if they never listen to us one day of their life, because we create an environment that shapes behavior. You don't change people, you change the environment that changes people. That's a powerful lesson I just gave you, and that's a really deep lesson, and that's based upon the principles of complex adaptive theory. But this is higher level thinking of how to manipulate large groups of people. If you want to change people, change the environment that changes people. The environment you live in creates the standards that you uphold. So your subconscious mind is under attack, but consciously you can't defend it because you don't know they exist. Keep going. Default behavior.
Yeah. Default behaviors love the path of least resistance. Not only does our environment choose that path, but it pushes us in that direction.
Meaning that what is easy, make sure you just push the running flash so I can focus on something. What is easy is often what is least effective. What is easy is often least effective. Staying home, eating fried chicken, pizza, and ice cream every night is easy. Long term, destructive, least effective. What is easy is going home and drinking alcohol and smoking weed. Long term, not effective. For those who've slipped into alcohol and drug, religion, sorry, this ain't your class. I don't give a shit either. I'm over this trying to make everybody happy because in the end, I care about results. If you go back to giving real quick, we only charge enough to improve the quality of the class. We don't charge enough for profit. Hope is a gift. But the reason we give is not because I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy, but that's not why. I give because I want to see a better culture and a better future. I want to fight something that I probably will never win, but I want to have impact. And so I'm giving this depth of knowledge, and I'm creating a culture that will empower individuals who are part of it to be impactful. So the environments that we're in and these popular ideas that we sign up for, the environment pushes us down those paths. Okay. Oh, let me say one more thing about perspective. Oh, no, I won't come back to that. So keep going. Next one.
Most of the time, when we think of environment, we think only of our visible environment. Consider your house. Seeing a bag of chips on the counter makes eating healthy harder. In the same way, removing chips from the house altogether makes eating them harder. To get a bag of chips, you have to get in your car and go to the store.
Keep going.
If we limit our understanding of environmental influences only to what we can see, we miss a large part of its powerful force. Let's look at a hidden environmental force that shapes our behavior.
Next slide.
We become what we consume. What you read today becomes the raw material of your thoughts tomorrow. High-quality inputs offer high-quality raw materials to assemble in the future.
Once again, let me say this again. If you're reading low-quality shit, you're producing a low-quality person. If you're consuming high-quality shit, you're becoming a high-quality person. I don't I don't define you or nobody else define you as a high quality person. It's based on your consumption. Keep going.
A person with an environment with rich sources of information makes better choices than someone consuming low quality sources of information.
This is where I hope is here. By improving the source of information and the richness of information that we're trying to put around you, it is ensuring over time, like working out, you may take one class and not see much difference in your life. But by being in this environment where we're all collaborating around rich information, we're making you rich. Keep going.
Sorry.
So
Not
let's-
only
There you go.
not only do they have the better raw material, but they also have a broader perspective in a calmer mind. The same applies to food. What we eat today is what we become tomorrow. All things being equal, the person that eats healthier will live longer and avoid more problems than someone who does not.
This is a simple formula that somehow we try to reinvent. If you want to grow in business, it's about what is your consumption. And what you consume today is going to impact what you become tomorrow. You could consume a lot of junky ass shit. I watch all the sport games. I watch conflicts. I'm on social media looking at what everybody's talking about. Well, okay. Such is life. You go home and you listen to each other's problems in your relationships. You gossip all day long. Low quality engagement. Or let me use a better language. It's called, you spend more time with what they call expired information than information that really, that doesn't expire or expires slowly. There's a difference between that quality of information. Are you reading things that expire? So things that expire is, I believe in binary, no gender, whatever. Okay, that's season. We're in that season. Has that been here for thousands of years? No. Will I overconsume myself with that? No. Right now, people are breaking windows and what is going on with this? You can't overconsume yourself with things that are going to change. Not saying you can't be aware. Yes, be aware. You just can't overinvest in things that expire. Keep going.
Who we spend time with matters. My grandfather, like many, used to tell me, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. A lot of wisdom, like this, gets easily dismissed because it is not entirely accurate. That's unfortunate because it's very useful. By choosing who you spend time with today, you change your trajectory for tomorrow.
Entrepreneurs who are isolated are dying. If you're an entrepreneur and you're in this game and you isolate yourself, you're dying. If you're an entrepreneur and you're in this game and you're by yourself, you're dying. If you don't join Hope, join an entrepreneur group. Join a group. This whole idea of this superhero that can change the world by themselves and fix everything by themselves and be the one that everybody celebrates when they come in from their great victory is a myth. It is a blind illusion of self-success. Is a waste of your fucking time. Stop watching fucking rap artists and thinking that's how the world works. In the real world, your success is based upon a collaboration and relationships and how you connect to others. Cut this isolation. Individualism is an illusion. There's no such fucking thing. Mashama said something that was really funny the other day. Let's say God came down this earth in my face, whatever, I like that. And he says to you, I'm going to give you $1 trillion. But by the way, everybody's gone. When you get it, you'll be the only person on earth. That's a waste of fucking money. Meaning that even when you're successful with other people, you're not successful. Your happiness, your existence, you are a herd animal. You need others for your own definition. Your happiness is based upon your relationship to others. And the people that's closest to you are impacting your destiny. The people that are closest to you are, matter of fact, everything you see and all the flaws you see in the people around you are probably in you. The people you gossip about the most, it's probably you. You have to get to the point where in self-awareness, Who you choose in your life, where you spend your time, who you talk to, and who you engage impacts who you become. Cut this old, I can be friends with anybody, love everybody, and hang out with anybody I want, do what I want, drink what I want, smoke what I want, go where I want. Grow the fuck up. Stop acting like a 10-year-old who finally broke away from their parents. Stop acting like someone is controlling you and control your world. Stop renting and move towards ownership. Renting is complaining about the contract they gave me is not fair. They took me to be back a certain amount of time. They reported the car stolen. This is not right. It's not social. It's not right. It's social justice. What you have to understand is this. You're now in ownership. And once you decide to own some shit, there's responsibilities you have to take on. There's discipline and rituals and habits you have to take on. And in that process, you have to start thinking about who your friends are. When you're renting, it didn't matter who your friends were. But when you're in ownership, your friends fucking matter. Doesn't mean you cut everybody loose. You still keep people, everybody stays, you love people, right? But where do you spend your time is critical. So your old best friend who ain't shit can still be your friend. It's just that you ain't spending every damn night with that ain't shit person because all you do is talk about ain't shit. That's a phrase. Dre, ain't shit, coin that for me. Anyway, keep going.
Another bit of wisdom hiding in plain sight is that people tend to hang around people like themselves.
Uh-oh.
That explains why if your friends watch TV every night, you eventually will too. You can take this in all sorts of directions. If you spend a lot of time with people who are kind of thoughtful, you will act that way too. If you spend time with people who share a certain politics, you eventually see things similarly. It also explains why, if you start spending time with people who are unlike you in certain ways, you want to cultivate. You will become like them. All of this happens without conscious awareness.
So if you want to be doing this entrepreneurship shit, you gotta start finding entrepreneurs to hang out with. If you want to be inspiring entrepreneurs, hang out with people who got jobs who aspire to be entrepreneurs. It's really that simple. Like you be around this long enough, you'll get that itch. You could be like, nah, I don't give a fuck about that. You know, Coach was like, leave me alone. I don't give a fuck about all that. And after a while, you be like, ooh, shit, that's kind of cool how y'all living. Like, man, y'all have no idea. This entrepreneurship is amazing. But it's the ideal of it that seems insurmountable. But once you get over that mountain, the rewards are unimaginable. And once you're out here long enough, you're a wolf that you can never put a chain around my neck again. I will, if my business falls, I'm going back to start as a wolf again. I can't go back to a dog role. Only way I can go to a dog role is if, like, say, somebody, my daughter and my wife was dying and they needed some amount of money to keep them alive, and I lost my business, and the company said, let me hire you, and we'll keep them alive, right? And I had to make that sacrifice to give my life up for them. Different. Would I do it? Absolutely. But I'm talking about, and if all things are normal, I am a wolf. But I wasn't a wolf when I first started. I was a dog exploring the path of a wolf, and I took off running. And guess what? I got my ass whooped that first year or two. But I kept running. And I ran so long, I couldn't even go back no more. So I can't begin to tell you that it ain't about just coming to this class learning. It's about being around the right people. The people in this class are here to help you go where you want to go. Let's go to the next one.
By choosing who you spend time with, you are also choosing who you want to be. This is the environmental force at work on your subconscious and your biological instincts. Should I pause for the train?
No, keep going. We're going to roll to the train. Well, okay, let's one more. Let him hit one more horn. Let him hit one more horn.
You can hear my breath.
All right, let's do it.
Hold it away. Okay. Here. Oops, sorry, my screen just changed.
Okay, go ahead.
Coming. Okay.
All right, so just go back
Okay.
to by choosing.
Here are okay.
Go back to by choosing.
Choosing who you spend time with, you are also choosing who you want to be. This is the environmental force at work on your subconscious and your biological instincts. Here are 3 lessons you can take from
This
this.
is beautiful. Oh, this is beautiful. Go ahead.
1. Curate your information diet to be rich and diverse. Follow people who think differently than you. Read old books. Remember that what you put into your mind today is the new raw material you have to work with tomorrow.
So real quick, that, like, screenshot that. Study people who think different than you. Trust me when I say this, because let's call it broadening your perspective. Remember, the opposite can also be true. The opposite can be true. And when we finish this, I'm gonna hit another point on perspective, then I'm gonna open up the last bit of questions, then we'll go home on time, because I covered all this 30-some slides by myself. That's what I'm saying. When Court takes over, he's faster than I am. So this is gonna be crazy. Anyway, go next one.
2. Surround yourself with people whose default behavior is your desired behavior. If you want to run more, join a group that runs every day. Spend less time with people whose default behavior isn't your desired behavior.
I just said that. I mean, I'm so over this entrepreneurs thinking they can do it by themselves. I learned that shit so fast. Like, I surround myself with entrepreneurs. And do you need them every day? No. But do I need just that? I just even sometimes just need them to hear me. And then sometimes even bounce an idea back to me and know what's important to bounce back to me. When I talk to people who are not entrepreneurs, I seem too petty. I care about 2 things that are too small. Because their brain is like, well, did you make money or not? Did you do good or not, right? Because they can't really embrace the small details. Like, I can come home, if I talk to an entrepreneur and be like, yo, this screw I found, it's fucking amazing. Non-entrepreneur would be like, why? Want to turn the game on or what, man? Come on, man. It seems too small. Because when you're in ownership, the power is in the details. But when you're into renting, the power is in its utility. What does it do? Where are we going with this? Keep it simple. I ain't got time for all that complex thought. That's rental mindset. Ownership is, hey, what are the best possible tires for my car? What are the best options? Who's leading and why? And should I use these cars? And what's going to impact the longevity of my car's performance? But if you're not in ownership, fuck, who gives a shit? Next one.
3. Design your environment knowing it will influence your future self. You can easily make undesired behaviors harder and desired behaviors easier.
Design your environment. I can't begin to say this enough. Design your environment. Once you decide you want to be an entrepreneur, think about what does that design look like? What does that lifestyle look like? Are you signing up for that? And then does your life currently align with that? And if it doesn't, start working on redesigning your life so you have the life of an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur has certain resources and certain environmental needs that are not conscious, but are directly impacting your performance. Go ahead.
Understanding the invisible influence of your environment allows you to turn your desired behaviors into your default behaviors.
If you wanted to change the black community tomorrow, so a keystone is a particular stone that allows an arch to stay as arch. It sits right there. It's a little small stone that sits between the arch that holds the arch together. You guys can kind of remember what a keystone is. If you want to change the community, change your keystones. If you want to change, you don't change the environment, because human beings are complex adaptive systems, so we adjust to our environments. That's what we do. The ghetto was created by the way they designed the environment coming out of the 40s. The environment that they created ghetto culture, ghetto behavior, and ghetto poverty. Ghetto poverty wasn't because black people were just dumb and bad people. If I create a certain environment, I can create a certain kind of outcome. That's what we call systemic racism. Systemic racism is way more important than an individual racist or prejudiced people. The system itself has more damaging effect on a large group of people than a racist person anywhere. Anywhere, period. So when they get on TV and want to talk about this racist person, that racist person, this racist cop, that racist cop, it's a waste of fucking time. It's about what about that environment that's creating a repeated behavior. For example, if you want to save a particular animal, intervention is hell expensive. But if you just reinforce the environment the animal uses for survival, the animal will bring its life, it will bring itself back. This is some of the rules of leading large groups of people. Is intervention is not, it is too expensive and sometimes the worst strategy and often creates unknown problems. What's more important is shape the environment that people exist in, which shapes human beings' behavior. If you're in Chicago or East Oakland, the reason those areas are so bad is because the environment is producing that behavior. Other thing too, I want to say this about perspective, then Shakina jump into this. Any questions we have in-house or online, let's do it. Perspective, I want to go back to this on perspective. If you don't, or observation knowledge / perspective. Observation knowledge is weak for this multiple reason. Somebody asked me the other day, what should Libby Schaaf, which is our mayor, do about A, B, or C? And I said, I don't fucking know. They said, what should Oakland police do about this or that behavior? I don't fucking know. They said, what is the president of the United States, Obama, what should he have done about this behavior? I said, I don't fucking know. And they said, why don't you fucking know? Because I've never been a police officer, I've never been a mayor, I've never been a president. I don't know what they deal with from my outside observation. So I don't even engage in these. That's that serious shit. Okay. What we don't realize is that a lot of these conversations about what's wrong with the president, what's wrong with the mayor, what's wrong with OPD, our police department, many of us are engaging in expired information because none of us know. So we had to do some research on the police department. So we did ride-alongs, and we got a chance to sit next to police officers and hang out with them for like 10 hours in a car. Then we sat with the leadership all the way to the top, and then we went to the union. We realized all the conversations you hear about police and the public, do they have problems? Yes, they have problems. But what people suggested are the problems are not the problems. Are police officers good people? Yes, they are. But do they become corrupted by the system? Yes, they do. If you understand the power of incentives and the power of the environment produces human behavior that an individual could never imagine committing. And yet we don't know this. And so when you do observation, it's easy to be thinking, oh, bad cop, or they racist, or they always done this, right? Further from the truth. Observation knowledge removes so much context. So next time somebody says, what do you think the mayor should do? Just say to them, I don't fucking know because you're not a mayor. That's not your circle of genius. Once you start practicing observing and saying what people should do, what he should and she should. First of all, the word should is a kind of a distortion because the future is random and no one controls that. But with that being said, we don't know. And then when you start to build, most of us are living a life of rental. So when you start talking about what businesses should do or what Brown Sugar Kitchen should have done or what this business should have done, you don't know. You ain't never run a business before. You're a renter. When you get into ownership, it gives you a different lens to look through, to see the world differently. And then even with that lens, if you don't go and spend time and talk to that person and learn, see through their eyes, you still don't know. Like Brown Sugar Kitchen, what she said in that interview was wrong. Now, was she wrong when she said it? This is going to sound weird. Maybe not. Because maybe in her world, in her reality, and from her perspective, that's the logic she's been operating on all these years. Now, is it right overall? No. But was it right for her? Yes. Should she be judged by anybody who could have did different or better? Absolutely not. Because maybe if you had the same incentives, you would have did the same thing. Like this do not judge thing is really saying once you judge, it's dismissing other people's reality. Learning to see other people's motivators, consciousness, context changes the world around you. You want to say our question? Anything online? Make sure before I break loose on everybody. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So Kelly K says,
Kelly.
can you talk a little about offering a product to the market and saying it's for everyone rather than specifying a target market?
Okay, so for those who have said that, once again, to tell somebody they're wrong is disruptive, and I get it. When you say the product's for everyone, you fear not being successful. You're just trying. You're chasing money. You're not chasing. You're not running a business or chasing a vision. There's no everything. Human beings don't like anything that's for everyone. If you told every human being in Oakland that they wear uniform, we would be pissed off. Nobody wants something for everybody. Wants to have their own identity and their own way of expressing themselves. And the way people become repeated customers is that they buy products from you to express who they are. If you make it for everybody, there's no car that's for everybody. There's not even a fucking tire or windshield that's for everybody. Some people like tinted windows, some people like dark tinted windows, some people don't want tinted windows at all. Some people want fucking words, Go Raiders on the back of on their window. There's no such thing as for everybody. There's no way to market to everybody because if you had a marketing budget for everybody, that means you have to run a separate campaign for all the different groups. In your city alone, there's thousands of groups. So for one flyer, you have to run 1,000 different versions with 1,000. And here's the thing. Once my group sees you advertising to my opposite group, I'm going to say you're no longer authentic because you speak to everybody. Nobody in no market speaks to everybody because there's no such thing. Human beings have not, because for us to say everybody, that means that we think that human beings are just copies and pastes of each other. We're far from it. And you'll learn this if you ever get to a point where you're selling a product past internationally, you'll find out that you'll go to another city or state where they love your product, but their beliefs are totally different than the people that buy your products here. They may buy it for a total different reason. It's called psychographics. There's multiple psychographics. And psychographics, you don't aim your product towards demographics because that's too narrow. They're saying I'm only selling this to black people. You may find a psychographic that black people subscribe to, sell to that psychographic, but white people who identify with black people and Asian and Latino and Latina folks that align with those black values will buy that product. But white people from Walnut Creek who don't really are Utah may be like, it's not my shit. But once again, you don't need everybody to be successful. If you had 1% of the Bay Area buying your products, you're a multimillionaire.
I have a question for me.
Go ahead.
So we're going into like year 7 of a brick and mortar, and I'm having to review a lot of like branding and internal and external decisions that we've made on how we position my business. Mm-hmm. And I am struggling because I think in maybe like the first 3 years we were like, this is a black business for black people. I don't fuck with nobody else, right? And then I was like, that's really small-minded. And as long as I take my profit and go bring it back to my community, because that's what I care about, then that's what matters. And as we're moving into this new space, I'm trying to figure out how do I still stay true to why I started, which is, building up my community, creating a safe space, making them feel comfortable, having a business focused on black excellence, while still continuing to be able to grow so that I can start scaling my business without separating from like my strong pride in blackness.
So you like Trabocos, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's proud to be Italian, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of even his Mexican waiters try to speak Italian to you, right? Mm-hmm. He has a big ass Trabocos area picture on a wall from Italy that he has celebrated, right? But everybody in that business is what? All over race, all over certain people, but it's people who sympathize with that. Like they love that type of product and food. Mm-hmm. Being a black business doesn't mean that you turn away other customers. Silly, waste of time. Mm-hmm. Being a black business doesn't mean that you just say, hey, I'm only going to go into the hood and talk to the folks in the hood, and everybody else don't talk to me, fuck you. Being a black business means that you build a product that speaks to a certain group of people, but don't be surprised that other people relate to that product for different reasons, right? So being black means that if you looked at Traboca, he's Italian, pro-Italian. But as he's pro-Italian, when you go there to have a cool Italian, superb, excellent experience. Because every time you go there, it's professional. The food is consistent, great food, great service, great attention to details, but with an Italian background twist. When we become black in our product, we should use black. We should raise blackness as a quality enhancement, as opposed to a business limitation. Two, it could be the music you play. It could be some of the images you have strategically placed. It could be certain phrases. It could be certain people you celebrate or uphold that doesn't say to somebody, "I don't want your product." Now, don't get me wrong. There was a business in Brooklyn that was in the fashion industry, and he decided he wanted to sell to poor black people. I think he was from it starts with an L. It'll come back to me. But it's like a more of a Middle Eastern place. He decided he wanted to sell to just poor folks in Brooklyn. And I think the average profit a clothing company was making on Prince Street and Broadway in those areas in New York where the fashion district was around, I think it was like $1 million a year. This dude was doing between $3 and $5 million a year, selling to the poorest people. And he designed his product to speak to them. Now, did only black people come in there? Nah. As you all know, the black community, the Latino community, black and Mexican community, black and Puerto Rican community, many of the South American cultures, we get down together. Not all of us, but most of us get down together, right? So a lot of times when you appeal to one of us, you kind of appeal to all of us, right? Hip hop culture, originally it was a very black culture, still kind of dominant black brand, but go to a Public Enemy concert, it was all white people, right? What I'm suggesting is that you don't have to. It's like code switching. You don't have to make people feel comfortable. You got to just give people what they want, right? Because making people feel comfortable mean that they walk in and you got pictures of Marilyn Monroe and motherfucking Cary Grant and Elvis Presley on your wall, and you playing Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog to group exercise. No. And Britney Spears coming up next. No. And fuck a no, right? When you speak, you're a black girl from New York. You got Bantu braids in your hair right now, looking like the original African sister. You're going to sound really weird when you sound like your name is Molly. Right? What they came for, they already know who the fuck you are. What they want to do is feel good about the environment. A lot of white people love black music. A lot of white people love black culture. Right? A lot of Asian people, a lot of people love black culture. Give them the best of what we have. Own that. And figure out what that is for you.
One more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So a lot of times, I think across the board in all races, because we have a pretty diverse client, is people will come up to me in disbelief because of, I guess, like how our business looks polished, and they'll say, "Oh, how did you get into this franchise?" And so, and then I find myself leading when I go into public, speaking about my business as like, we're a black-owned business, like dedicated to serving black people. But then I kind of feel like I'm doing the reverse code switch because I'm being so defensive.
You're doing us versus them, as opposed to seeing them as worthy rivals.
Okay.
One is that you take. Okay, so true. Do they see you like you don't deserve to own this business? Yes. Fine. You have to ask yourself, then what is it that you need to change? Or what is it you could exploit?
Okay.
Can you exploit that as an opportunity? Does it work for you? Can you make it work for you? Or are you showing up incorrectly and you're sending the wrong message? Those are two different arguments. I don't know which one it is. It requires observation. But to see it as confrontational puts you at a disadvantage. When white people make comments, they're not familiar with you. Okay, if I'm walking down the street and let's say somebody's non-binary, and I say, "Hey, what's up, my man?" You're like, "Hey, excuse me, I'm not a man. I'm non-binary. I don't believe in that shit." Why are you mad? How would I know anything different? If we're really talking about tolerance, give me an opportunity to see you for who you are and to show up to that. But don't attack immediately every time somebody says, "Oh, you're a man," because how would they know that? How would they know that, right? So let's look at people as being good, assume the best, and then work on a solution as opposed to, "Oh, see, I got to stand up and let them know who I am." Then what you just did is you handed your value over to them. You don't realize you control your value at all time. You control your perception at all time. You control your world at all times. Once you start giving your control up to other people, you become impotent. No more questions? We good? Kasha, you good on questions? Okay. Everybody, Jennifer, you good? Okay, we good? Hey, y'all. It's 9:09. I don't think I've ever done this before. I almost wanted to start singing Lou Rawls, but I realized I can't sing that deep. Hey, you'll never find. Hey, you better stop me, Josh. Josh, don't mute me. I swear to God, Josh, I will cut your fingers off. Anyway, hey, y'all, it's nice hanging out with y'all. Once again, next week, everybody, let's read the first 2 chapters of Quote Extraordinary Mind and the first chapter, first section of Eagle's the Enemy, or just the intro. Buy 2 books, yes. I suggest you buy the written book and the audio book because it will help you process it better. 3, next week we're going to start right into the book. We're going right into the books. This process of building you up is not going to be fast, quick tips. This shit here is fun. It's a minute. It gives you a chance to reflect and think. But really the process to get to where we want to go is step by step, one foot in front of the other. And so we start this first process of help. If you don't see yourself, you can't see others. If you don't see others, you can't lead. You can't lead, you can't build your dream. You can't be an entrepreneur. You be self-employed, working your ass off to your death, meaning that now, money, you live in a path, lifestyle. Remember, like, rich people got money, wealthy people got time. I'm trying to help you guys regain time. Look, our community right now, we've been slipping in ethical deterioration for quite some time because usually the way you keep a strong ethical culture is through legislation. But we don't. One of the greatest weaknesses of black culture is we're ungoverned. There's no one legislating our culture. And so if there's no legislation, then popular ideas continue to poison our community and take us so far from our path, we don't even know what blackness is anymore. So in order for us to legislate our community, we got to get people in a position of power. They have the ability, the time, and the thinking power to come together and collaborate and create legislation to create guidance for our community. Because everybody don't have time to guide our community. Only a few elected groups of people, and we have to earn the right to be in that role. And so part of this class is not only to help you guys achieve a certain level of happiness, economic freedom, and strong families, but to eventually grow into a position to legislate your own communities and have impact and help us grow and compete. And even if there's white people who resist us, who cares? They're worthy rivals that only make us stronger. Racism makes us stronger if we look at it differently. But if you victimize yourself from it, it will destroy you, sink you into depression, and create mental suicide. So with that being said, I love everybody that just showed up tonight. Love those of you who I don't even know from social media. I love those of you who will join us, and I love those of you who are not going to join us. And until the end, until next week, I'll see you all. Research, read that book, study the material, go back and reflect on this class. Danielle, make sure this PDF is available for everybody, so if they want to download this PDF and go through this list, go through it. So with that being said, as they say in France, Germany, and Brooklyn, I'll see y'all later.